University Marshal. Joy, honored guests, please rise. Honored guests, University Marshal Joy Bostic.
2023 Commencement Convocation Ceremony of Case Western Reserve University is hereby convened. Please remain standing for the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Please be seated. Honored guests, the President of Case Western Reserve University, Eric W. Kaler.
Good afternoon. It is my honor to congratulate the undergraduate, graduate, and professional student members of the Case Western Reserve University class of 2023. And we can start this afternoon with some good news. If you haven't heard, our men's tennis team just made history as the first Spartan athletic team to win an NCAA Division III championship. There you go. Very exciting for them, very exciting for us, and congratulations to that wonderful tennis team. So welcome everyone, graduates, guests, members of our esteemed faculty and staff, distinguished award winners, university trustees, and honorary degree recipients. And I'm also pleased to welcome today's speaker, Dr. Michael Osterholm. And to those of you watching us via live stream, we're so glad that you've joined us. There are several members of the board who are with us today, trustees Bob Pavey, Larry Sears, and our board chair, Fred DeSanto. Fred DeSanto has served on the Board of Trustees since 2012, and his extraordinary support of Case Western Reserve is evident throughout our campus, in athletics, student scholarship, and at our health education campus. Fred is chairman and chief executive officer of Ancora, a leading wealth management asset firm, and we are proud that Fred is a double alum. He received his undergraduate degree and his MBA at Case Western Reserve. He's also a decorated Spartan athlete. He's the only university athlete to earn 12 varsity letters, 4 each in football, basketball, and baseball. So Fred, thank you for your leadership and for your continued dedication to Case Western Reserve, and I invite you to say a few words.
Thanks, President Kaler. What an entrance, huh? Now that's fun. All the hard work you've done, and we were able to clap for you as you walked through all of the staff, the deans, and the professors. We congratulate you. This is going to be a fun night or fun day for you and a fun weekend as we move forward. So with that, I want President Kaler to stand up. And I always like to do something. So this time, President Kaler and I are going to do a selfie with you. So do whatever you want while we're taking the picture. All right. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to congratulate all of our graduates this afternoon. I also want to acknowledge and welcome their families, our alumni, faculty, staff, and distinguished guests. Case Western Reserve has revolved in many ways since its origins in 1826. However, what has remained central to this university and what still guides us today is an enduring commitment to students across all aspects of learning, researching, performing, and competing. I hope that your experience here, including the times that were challenging, enables you to move forward with confidence, compassion, and curiosity about a world and its people. Because those are the qualities that lead our graduates to make bold discoveries, to lead in ways that positively impact human lives, and to become agents for change in the world. We hope that you will remain connected to the university in the years to come. You are always welcome here. We wish you all the best in your path ahead. Congratulations to our class of 2023.
Good afternoon, everyone. Each year at Convocation, we honor the recipients of the Frank and Dorothy Hummel Hovorka Prize. This honor is awarded annually to a faculty member whose exceptional achievements in teaching, research, and scholarly service have benefited the community, the nation, and the world. The prize was created by Mrs. Hovorka, a longtime friend, honorary trustee of the university, and a 2009 honorary degree recipient. Her husband, the late Frank Hovorka, was for many years a distinguished member of the faculty of the Department of Chemistry. This year, we will honor our 2022 and 2023 Hovorka Prize winners. First, our 2023 recipient is Sandra Walker Russ. She is the Louis D. Beaumont University Professor Emerita in the Department of Psychological Science and Distinguished University Professor Emerita. She is a renowned clinical child psychologist and scholar in children's pretend play. She was twice the interim dean of the College of Arts and Sciences. She also served as chair of the Department of Psychological Sciences, University Associate Provost, and Faculty Senate Chair, among other roles. Today, she is a member of the Executive Committee of the Emerita Faculty Academy and was recently named a University Conciliation Counselor. Sandy retired last year after nearly 5 decades at Case Western Reserve University. Sandy, congratulations again. Our 2022 recipient is Jennifer Niles. Jennifer is an internationally renowned archaeologist, curator, scholar, and teacher of ancient Greek and Roman art. She is the Elsie B. Smith Professor in the Liberal Arts Emerita in the Department of Classics, and she was the Ruth Kotler Heed Professor in Art History in the Department of Art History and Art. Jennifer was a member of the Case Western Reserve faculty for 37 years. And most recently, she was the director of the American School of Classical Studies in Athens, Greece. Jennifer, congratulations as well to you. President Kaler, on behalf of the Hovorka Prize Committee, I present Sandra Walker and Jennifer Niles.
Congratulations again to our Hovorka Prize winners, wonderful citizens and contributors to this university for many years. Now we turn to the President's Award for Visionary Achievement, which recognizes individuals who have distinguished themselves through significant and exceptional support to Case Western Reserve University. Recipients of this award demonstrate a history of prominent philanthropic engagement and service that benefits our community and the broader campus. This year, we are honored to bestow this award on the Jack Joseph and Morton Mandel Foundation, represented today by its chairman, Steve Hoffman. The Jack Joseph and Morton Mandel Foundation has been among Case Western Reserve University's most transformative and generous supporters. In 1940, the three Mandel brothers launched the premier automotive supply company, which went on to become one of the world's leading industrial and electronic parts corporations. 13 years later, they founded the Mandel Foundation. The brothers' philanthropic engagement at Case Western Reserve dates back over 4 decades. In 1988, the family made a $3 million gift to name the Mandel School of Applied Social Sciences and to support construction of a new school building and ongoing programs. Then in 2013, the foundation made a renewed $8 million commitment to support a major renovation of the school building and to establish an endowed position for its dean. In honor of this commitment and the foundation's new name, now the Jack Joseph and Morton Mandel Foundation, Case Western Reserve rededicated both the Jack Joseph and Morton Mandel School of Applied Social Sciences and the Community Studies Center. The foundation has provided ongoing support to the Mandel School by investing in future community leaders through the Mandel Leadership Fellows Program. It has also created new undergraduate scholarships through the Jack Joseph and Morton Mandel Distinguished Scholar Fund. In addition, there's more. The foundation has supported endeavors at the Health Education Campus, including the Jack Joseph and Morton Mandel Wellness and Preventative Care Pathway and the Professorship of Wellness and Preventative Care. Most recently, in March of 2023, the foundation made a $2 million gift to support the university's new Experimental Humanities Initiative in the College of Arts and Sciences. This investment furthers the university's commitment to interdisciplinary excellence while honoring the leadership legacy of Case Western Reserve alumnus Morton Mandel. In total, the Mandel brothers and the foundation have provided nearly $62 million in philanthropic support to Case Western Reserve University. We're very grateful to the foundation and to you, Steve, for this continued generosity. Thank you.
Mr. President, on behalf of the Honorary Degree Committee of the Case Western Reserve University faculty, it is my distinct honor to present candidates for degrees honoris causa. The first candidate is Bruce Walker, recipient of the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa. Bruce Walker's training in internal medicine and infectious disease coincided with the darkest days of the AIDS epidemic in the United States. Now, after 4 decades of work in the field, he is regarded as a trailblazer in HIV research and global health care. Bruce, who is an alumnus of the School of Medicine, identified the body's complex immune response to HIV infection, the activity of T cells, and the eventual failure of the immune system from exhaustion of this response in persistent infections. These findings transformed our understanding of the disease and helped guide therapeutic efforts to fight it. In addition to being a physician scientist and T-cell immunologist, Bruce is a Howard Hughes Medical Institute investigator, a professor of medicine at Harvard Medical School, and professor of practice of medicine at MIT. He is also the founder and current director of the Reagan Institute of Mass General, MIT, and Harvard. This institute aims to transform medical care by harnessing the immune system to prevent and cure disease. Bruce also helped catalyze the creation of 2 research institutes dedicated to the study of HIV and tuberculosis in South Africa. Bruce is an elected member of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, the National Academy of Medicine, the Association of American Physicians, and the American Society for Clinical Investigation. He is also the recipient of 2 Merit Awards from the NIH and a Doris Duke Distinguished Clinical Scientist Award.
Bruce Walker, for your exceptional and transformative work in AIDS research and healthcare, and on the recommendation of the university faculty and the Board of Trustees, it is my pleasure to admit you to the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto, to bestow upon you the hood of this university and to grant you this diploma.
Mr. President, on behalf of the Honorary Degree Committee of the Case Western Reserve University faculty, I present James Wyant as a candidate for the degree of Doctor of Engineering honoris causa. As a small child, Jim spent hours in a small workshop at his home, tinkering and problem solving. One of his earliest inventions was very practical. He designed an intercom so that his mother could call him for dinner while he was busy in his workshop. As Jim grew older, he aspired to become a professor and an inventor, and he wanted to form a company to sell his creations. He managed to accomplish all three, with his education at the Case Institute of Technology serving as his foundation. Today, Jim is a renowned optical scientist. He was introduced to optics when he took a summer job during college at the Libby Owens Ford Glass Company, a top producer of flat automotive glass, which called for flawlessly polished surfaces. There, he invented a method to measure surface scatter light during the manufacturing process. Jim went on to earn a PhD from the University of Rochester's Institute of Optics, and after graduating, he took his first job as an optical engineer. He then moved from industry to academia, serving on the faculty at the University of Arizona, where he was the founding dean of its College of Optical Sciences. He later founded Wyco Corporation and served as its president and board chairman. He also founded 4D Technology Corporation, where he still serves as board chairman. And I'm proud to mention that he also served as chair of the Case Western Reserve University Board of Trustees and is now an emeritus trustee. Jim has received numerous awards for both his technical work and his entrepreneurial activities. He is an elected member of the National Academy of Engineering and the National Academy of Inventors, and he is a fellow and past president of both the Optical Society of America and the International Society for Optical Engineering.
Jim is unable to be here in person with us today, but he is with us via live stream. James White, for your many accomplishments in optical science and for your dedication to students as an educator and for your commitment to advancing the field of optical science in business, academia, and society. And on the recommendation of the university faculty and the Board of Trustees, it is my pleasure to admit you to the degree of Doctor of Engineering, honoris causa, with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto, to bestow upon you the hood of this university and to grant you this diploma. Now I'm pleased to introduce our commencement speaker, the renowned epidemiologist, Dr. Michael Osterholm, who has been a leading voice during the COVID pandemic. Dr. Osterholm is a Regents Professor, McKnight Presidential Endowed Chair in Public Health, and the Director of the Center for Infectious Disease Research and Policy at the University of Minnesota. He's also the author of 2 New York Times best-selling books, including the book Deadliest Enemy, Our War Against Killer Germs, which was published in 2017. This book detailed the most pressing infectious disease threats of the time, including coronaviruses and pandemics. Dr. Osterholm's work and influence have taken him from Minnesota to the world stage, and in November of 2020, he was appointed to President Biden's COVID-19 Transition Advisory Board. Dr. Osterholm is a member of the National Academy of Medicine and the Council of Foreign Relations. He has written hundreds of papers and abstracts and is a frequent guest lecturer on the topic of infectious disease. He also happens to be a friend of mine. Please welcome Dr. Michael Osterholm.
Thank you, President Kaler, for that very kind introduction and for your very special invitation to be here with you today. Also, I want to acknowledge Fred DeSanto, Chair of the Board of Trustees, Ben Vinson, Provost and Executive Vice President, and other Case Western University leadership, honorary degree recipients Jim Wyant and my colleague and friend, Dr. Bruce Walker, other award winners, student speakers, faculty, and family members, and guests who are watching on live stream. Last but not least, the most important acknowledgement of all, and the reason we are here is because of you, the graduates of the class of 2023. At the outset, let me say I accepted this very kind and humbling invitation with some real trepidation. Anyone who's ever attended a graduation knows that a commencement address can be the best of times or the worst of times. I'll never forget my son's graduation from the University of Wisconsin when the speaker was a well-known Hollywood writer and former alum who had the audience in stitches for what seemed like only 10 minutes. Sorry, everybody, but I'm not a comedian, just ask my kids. And then there was my daughter's graduation from a small private college in Minnesota. The commencement speaker was the head of a national service organization with no connection to the college and no sense of time or message. Those 55 minutes were so painful, and particularly on such a hot and humid day. Don't worry. I understand that this experience, as it still lingers in my mind, means I am keeping you from possibly some very interesting parties and receptions. But I do owe you, the graduates and your loved ones, a sense of closure on your impressive accomplishment, particularly having just come through 3 years of the COVID pandemic and a transition to the challenges you have before you in the years to come. I want to share with you today a love story for the ages. It's a story about a magical, if not miraculous, relationship that shaped my life beyond anything I'll ever be able to adequately describe to you in these few minutes. I was born in a small northeast Iowa farm town, the oldest of what would be 6 kids. My father, a photographer at the local newspaper, was an alcoholic and a deeply emotionally troubled man who had a primary way of expressing his fierce internal anger with the world. It was through his fists and his mental intimidation, and it was out with regard to your age or gender. I'm sure my childhood was not different from some of you in this room, and for certain for many throughout the world. However, there may be one very special difference. I was adopted spiritually at an early age by the wife of the owner of the newspaper where my father worked. She went by the family name Nana. She had a degree in journalism and was the very essence of a Renaissance person. She was in her mid-40s when I was born, and although she was not biologically related to me, she did become the mother of my soul. I can only conclude that in this case, that the spirit was thicker than blood. Her spiritual DNA remains in every cell of my body. Her only child, a daughter, became my dear, dear sister and still is. One of the most painful yet appreciative days of her life and mine occurred when Nana died from cancer in January of 1980 at the age of 72. I miss her dearly even today, some 43 years later. But she left a legacy for me for which I will never be able to repay. It was in the form of many hundreds of hours of enduring conversations and literally hundreds of typewritten notes and letters. She also had a weekly column in our local newspaper, and while almost all of the intimate details of my life remained secret as part of this sacred relationship, occasionally I'd show up in her column, like the time when I was 10 years old, and I was told by a friend that if I covered my body in vinegar, it would prevent me from getting a sunburn when I went swimming. Nana just happened to meet me on the street on my way to the city pool, and after explaining to her my newly found knowledge, she laughed out loud and kept her distance. The next week in the column, she described me as a walking pickle barrel. I guess it could have been worse. Today, I dedicate this commencement address to Nana, who taught me that the gift and power of unconditional love. Let me share with you a glimpse of the words, the observations, and the wisdom that Nana shared with me. I don't expect you to remember these words, but maybe, just maybe, one day their meaning will ring true for you in your own life and add a special flavor to your forever interpretation about what happened here today. First, Nana understood better than anyone I've ever known about the one thing that really matters in anyone's life. And it's not about career or money or even health, although I know careers and money are kind of critical to you right now. It's about leaving a legacy. It's a project that, whether you know it or not, has already begun in your life. She once wrote to me, "Never forget that the most important task you have before you in the many miles your life will travel is to leave a forever living legacy. And it doesn't matter if it's great or small. It just matters that you can leave it behind and you are proud of it. One can only hope that your legacy makes way for the world that your children and your great-grandchildren will find better because you existed." Father Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, a Catholic philosopher I've long admired, once wrote, "The future belongs to those who give the next generation reason for hope." Sometimes the hope may seem obscure when tackling the dragons and demons of the world, but at the end of the day, the peace that results from winning those battles is like interest earned on a smart investment and a sign your legacy is making progress. In the end, why did all of you in the class of 2023 go to all the trouble to get your degrees in one of the 8 schools from this prestigious institution? Why are you here at all at commencement? If you don't already realize that one day you will, your education is a major step in defining that personal legacy. Your parents, grandparents, and other family members who are watching this commencement feel a sense of real pride in your accomplishment. And now that you have one more Post-it note of credit on your own legacy board of life, understand you don't have to win a Nobel Prize or save the world to own a precious and even priceless legacy. I will forever be a living legacy of Nana, and for as long as I breathe, her legacy lives on. For each of you, what will be your legacy? It's not too early to start considering that. Accomplishment. Realize that we honor you here today, but tomorrow we expect you to get to work. The world has got some big problems, and we need you, your generation. Unfortunately, my generation, the baby boomers, for the first time in the history of mankind, is going to turn over the keys to planet Earth to the next generation in a much more degraded and worse shape than we received it. The challenges of world population, climate change, the lack of minimal health care for far too much of the world, the final exhaustion of groundwater supplies in many countries, the constant threat of radical fundamentalism and the occurrence of war and deadly terrorism, and a federal budget now severely hamstrung by your obligations through Social Security and Medicare to take care of us baby boomers for the next 30 years, does not represent a pretty picture. But as much as I have to say I'm ashamed and saddened by what my generation has done, you can't sit there and just have a pity party, even though it might be your right. But now you don't have time. You have been dealt this horrible hand of cards. Now get on with fixing it and don't expect great accolades. I don't say this out of insensitivity, but rather it's my hope that you realize it's your only get out of jail card for your future quality of life and maybe even your survival. Nana put the issue of credit and compliment into perspective for me. She once wrote about then with the references to Albert Camus' fictional depiction of a plague outbreak in Oran, Algeria in the 1940s. Her words, "Never expect and more importantly, never demand credit for what you should do. I worry today that far too many people seek great compliment and reward for being a good citizen. In doing that, we realize who and what we are." Camus, in his spellbinding book, The Plague, captures the essence of what I mean, as he describes the work of the sanitary workers, whose job it was to go into the city and retrieve the bodies of those who have died, and at real peril to their own safety. He writes through the eyes of the story's narrator, the narrator. However, it is not the narrator's intention to ascribe to all these sanitary groups more importance than their due. Doubtless today, many of our fellow citizens are apt to yield to temptation of exaggerating the services they rendered. But the narrator is inclined to think that by attributing overimportance to praiseworthy actions, one may, by implication, be paying indirect but potent homage to the worst side of human nature. For this attitude implies that such actions shine out as rare exceptions, while callousness and apathy are the general rule. The narrator does not share that view. Those enrolled in the sanitary squads, as they were called, had indeed no such great merit in doing as they did, since they knew it was the only thing to do, and the unthinkable thing would have not to have brought themselves to do it. These groups enabled our townsfolk to come to grips with the disease and convince them now that plague was among us. It was up to them to do whatever they could to be done to fight it. Since plague became in this way some man's duty, it revealed itself as what it really was, that is the concern for all. I don't mean to sound insensitive, but time is wasting, and our world, your world, needs real and consequential action. I hope and pray for the sake of my kids and grandkids that you do better than my generation, because it is for the concern of all. Well, I know this is all very heavy. Let me speak to two wonderfully essential gifts in our lives, gifts that can easily be overlooked or even intentionally neglected. They are love and passion, the absolute ingredients for a happy and productive life. About love, Nana wrote, Don't melt away at my saying so, but love of any real stature, regardless if it's romantic or that between best friends or dear colleagues, is like a lamp burning in the middle of one's life, a warmth for the chill hours, a light for the dark, an inspiration never to be cherished just for itself alone. And never mind if it's forever or for only a little while. One can only manage to hope that if it's lasting, to keep that pattern safe and intact for the end. And if it's not forever, to have rejoiced in having had it all, because in a long lifetime, there are relationships great and small, which have been beautiful, inspiring, rewarding, but not everlasting. My dear son, these are among the dearest of all of life's treasures. If you remember nothing about the words of your goofy commencement speaker today, please remember to ask yourself, what will warm you in the chill hours? I promise you it won't be a coveted professional position or an award or another publication or even money. It will be your love of others and the love of you from them. That will be truly among the life's greatest gifts you can know. As far as passion, all of you will always be challenged to embrace your passion, compassion, and for some of you, your clinical capability in some balanced manner. This is particularly true for you healthcare-related graduates, as you will deal head-on with life and death issues of our loved ones throughout your career. Your ability to emotionally survive the daily challenges of the patient and family exuberant highs and deadly lows will be unending. Some days, fatigue will make it seem as if you have nothing left to offer anyone. In the end, it'll be your passion for helping others that will be the ballast for this life you have chosen. Nana said this about passion. Humans are distinguished from all other living creatures based on the existence of a soul, the miracle of intellect and reason. But I so believe that the greatest gift we possess is our ability to express, feel, and share passion. It is uniquely human, and when it becomes the centerpiece of an endeavor, it can take man to the moon, feed the hungry around the world, and inspire the masses to believe in tomorrow. Passion should never be confused with the preaching of mindless and even dangerous demagogues. The facts and goodness of the cause must first be established, but once they are, it is the magic of passion that will carry the day. I worry that your chosen field of science has cast off the critical importance of passion, like we have outgrown our horses for the automobile. Putting all these emerging and crisis-oriented world events together with your inquiring education, feeling, knowing love, and passion will surely not be easy. In another aspect of your future challenges, you must find and become comfortable with a workable sense of direction and connection. Those critical spiritual hinges that keep everything moving together without causing emotional or physical blisters. Nana also understood direction. She wrote, "Direction, solid direction. Avoid finding the course restrictive. It may be the true freedom you are seeking. Exploring the world and its endless possibilities does not cease for an active mind, even when one direction is being pursued full steam ahead. Try to think of yourself as being at the helm of your own life's ship, pursuing the course, but educated and aware of what you see in the long side glances. I can't think at the moment of a better way to phrase what I mean. Some of the temptations you must avoid are flashy performance, which is always tempting, but filled with all the dangers of a puff of fire. Letting yourself be used to fulfill your own needs without regard to what they so do to those around you and their world. Diversifying to the point of dilution. Learn to dip into the experiences with an economic use of time and effort. Conserving time and effort for the main importances of life. We as humans need and want to control the whirlpool of life that swirls around us every day. It isn't easy and sometimes it's not even possible. But through understanding the importance of connection, we have a better chance of surviving the whirlpool. Nana's words about connection. Make connection. It is the glue of a curious mind and the roadmap for making a difference. As we discussed last week, that's exactly what made Silent Spring so remarkable and impactful. Carson connected the barrel of DDT to the crumbling eggshell and thus to the demise of the majestic bald eagle. T.S. Eliot may have captured the meaning of connection better than any other expression to date. He declares, hell is where nothing connects. Whatever you do, do not live in a silo, regardless of your discipline or training. We so often end up being so smart about something very esoteric, even if very important. and we lack all sense of connection and ultimately wisdom. You must see the big picture. Demand that of yourself and demand that of those around you. What happens while on your job or in your department or organization, in your community, in your state, in your country, or even your world really matters. With the big picture and direction, you can accomplish so much more than any formal education experience has ever prepared you to do. Given the state of world affairs today, we need all the help we can get. Let me briefly say a few words about change and memories. Change is going to be coming at you faster than a speeding bullet, or as we say back in rural Iowa, as fast as lightning and twice as quick. And memories of a lifetime may seem foreign to many of you at this time, as you are still in the earliest years of your life. When Nana learned that she had inoperable cancer, she elected to forego questionable cancer therapy and enjoy as fully as she could the final days of her life, a gift that we fully, as family and her physician, supported. I'm very happy to report she did live those last days as full of life as one could imagine, with class and grace. At the time, she was living in Florida near her daughter. I was living in Minnesota and married with a beautiful one-year-old daughter, Erin, the enchantment of my life. We went to visit Nana, not knowing how much longer she would live. The week after our visit, this piece appeared in her weekly column in the Iowa local newspaper. She can say Nana, which is my family name. She can walk and she can run like a darting sunbeam from one adoring lap to another. She was fascinated by the family dog, her very own books, which she thoughtfully brought along, a borrowed crib, a somewhat rusty family high chair, and what we have to eat. She likes company and she chatters all day long in her own language, which has the cadence of English and will long and soon be developed into an endless string of questions and commentaries. Her frilly clothes, frankly feminine ways, and sprightly sunniness enchant all of us, especially the boys in the family who think she's a special novelty in a world already crowded by bike riding, Latin, science, ping pong, and a million other activities. Fun, a special, never-to-be-forgotten treat. We'd like to put her into one of those little tiny bikinis available for her age and give her a sunbath. Because it's cold and rainy today, we'll put her into a hooded sweater, and as we go out among the sights, she'll be carried underneath a big umbrella. Erin is sunshine. Oh yes, things have changed since then. Well, it seems like only yesterday, Nana has now been dead 43 years. And that beautiful little girl, my daughter, is a neonatologist at the University of Minnesota. She's now the medical director of the newborn intensive care unit at the U of M. She provides critical care to some of the most fragile and complicated patients in medicine, those very tiny preemies, often weighing less than 5 pounds. While her unit routinely performs medical miracles, they also experience very painful realities, holding the hands and the hearts of new parents who must drastically alter their dream scenario to one of a nightmare, as their baby is taken off life support and will soon die. Nana taught me that with inevitable change, memories become one of, if not the most important currencies of life. I will always see that beautiful young Erin as sunshine, no matter the years. So never forget, you will regret more than I can put into words if you don't make it a priority to remember, cherish, and honor your special memories. Those you experience now and those you'll experience in the days ahead. Never take them for granted. In a world of change, your fond memories will be a lamp burning during the chill hours. Finally, let me just say a few words about class. It's the ability to never forget who you are or what is most important in life. Class is that status you earn when your achievement allows you to go to the head of the line and you don't think twice about standing in the back of the line because others were there first. Nana taught me that class comes in many different packages and under many different circumstances. When I asked her once to better describe class to me, she replied, "You'll know it when you see it." She was right. An experience several years ago provided me such an example. I was given an endowed lecture at one of the largest teaching hospitals on the East Coast. The chief of medicine at this prestigious institution is an internationally recognized expert in his area of medical specialty and was in charge of the day's activities. The only way I can describe him is to say he is a brilliant clinician and a wonderful gentleman. As we walked the halls, fellow physicians, nurses, security guards, nurses' aides, and even station clerks addressed him by his name, Jack, or as an affectionate Doc. This lack of formality might be viewed by some as a lack of respect for someone of such stature. Nothing could be further from the truth. Jack seemed to know every one of them by their first name and addressed them as if he were talking to a dear friend or neighbor. The deep admiration and respect for the chief was obvious. After my lecture in the hospital auditorium, Jack and I were taking the back roads to get to his office. It seemed like an endless maze of hallways. Suddenly, in a relatively out-of-the-way hallway near the lab, we encountered an older gentleman who appeared lost and quite distraught. Jack asked him if he could help. The older gentleman seemed almost surprised someone in a white doctor's coat would ask. He blurted out in a painful acknowledgement that his granddaughter had just been admitted to the pediatric intensive care unit, and he was trying to get there. He was desperately lost. Jack looked at me, and his eyes told me just to follow him. He asked the grandfather if he minded taking some stairs to save time. He replied, "Anything to get to my granddaughter." After more hallways and 2 flights of stairs, we were in front of the intensive care unit. Jack put his hand out to the man and said, "Please know the staff of this unit are remarkable. Your granddaughter is getting the best care possible." The grandfather got huge tears in his eyes, grabbed Jack's outreached hand with both of his, and held it for a moment. I'll never forget that silent but heartfelt gratitude. Obviously, the grandfather had no way of knowing that the physician whose hand he held was a prestigious and powerful individual in the field of medicine. But then that was not the Jack I saw standing there either. As we walked away, making another attempt to get to his office and continuing our previous conversation, I realized again that Nana was right. I would know class when I saw it, and I was in the presence of real class. Nana had her sense of class too. In one of the final letters she wrote to me before she died, she painted into words, "Dawns and sunsets can be spectacular. One is only sorry that more people don't have time to look. Contemplation grows in importance, and other activities diminish and have their proper place, not given to a fevered, busy days of life. I look and think and dress and make up a fantasy world with no thoughts now that I should be racing around doing busy tasks. A new phrase in an old world, and good when you learn it, but it takes a little practice to handle it with respect and even joy and care. Nothing represents more or complements our human spirit than class. Don't ever forget that. Don't become a big shot just because you can. If you maintain your sense of class, it will serve you well as a professional, a loved one, a parent, and as a friend. When you act with class, you never need doubt yourself." So I come to the end. When Nana moved to Florida several years before her death, I knew it would be the last time she would set foot on the soil of my birth and the land of our early and incredible journey. She hated the cold winters in Iowa, and so I could only be happy for her with this new life that she was about to embark. I wrote the following and handed it to her in a card as she got on the plane. "As you take to the heavens in your new journey, I should cry, for I can't begin to tell you how I will miss you. But then I realize and I smile, for no greater sight can greet these eyes when wings are spread and an eagle flies. Now it's your turn. It's your turn. Go and spread your wings and fly. Thank you."
What a privilege for all of us that you've shared the gift of Nana's wisdom and observation. And I suspect if she were here with us, she would beam with pride at the person, the class act that you are today. Thank you, Michael. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Ananya Hari, President of the Undergraduate Student Government of Case Western Reserve University. Ananya.
Hello, everyone. As we gather here today, we can't help but reflect on the journey that has brought us to this moment. We have finished something remarkable, something that requires dedication, perseverance, countless hours of hard work, and maybe a few 2 a.m. trips to the den. And yet, there's a hint of irony in this achievement. Throughout our academic lives, we have pursued knowledge, growth, constantly trying to reach the highest level within each institution that we attended. We immersed ourselves in the pursuit of excellence, absorbing wisdom and expanding our horizons. But as soon as we reached that pinnacle, we graduated, and we suddenly found ourselves back at the bottom, starting anew. It may seem daunting to realize that the entry-level jobs or the graduate programs that we are about to embark upon places us once again at the bottom rung of the ladder. However, I stand before you today with unwavering confidence because I know that each and every one of you is equipped with the tools to thrive in these new beginnings. Our time here has taught us resilience, adaptability, and the power of continuous learning. We have honed our skills, acquired knowledge, and cultivated passion for our respective fields. And now, it is our responsibility to ensure that we're climbing the ladder that aligns with our true aspirations and desires. As we enter the next phase of our lives, I urge you all to take a moment to reflect on your passions, values, and ambitions, and ask yourselves, am I on the ladder that I genuinely want to be on? Remember, this is your life, a precious and finite gift that deserves to be spent pursuing what truly brings you joy and fulfillment. Sometimes societal expectations or the allure of external validation can lead us astray. We might find ourselves on a ladder that others expect us to climb, but deep down, it does not resonate with our authentic selves. Today, I encourage you all to listen to your inner voice and follow your passions unapologetically and choose the path that ignites a fire within you. Yes, starting afresh might mean we find ourselves at a new beginning once again, but this also means we can take risks we've never taken before. Do not let the fear of starting over discourage you. Embrace it as an opportunity, a blank canvas in which you can paint the masterpiece of your life. Remember, every successful individual had to start somewhere. Each of them faced your own challenges, setbacks, and doubts, but they persevered. So, fellow graduates, as we step into the world beyond these walls, let us seize the opportunity to climb that ladder with fervor, determination, and unwavering passion. Let us pursue our dreams with the same tenacity that brought us to this day of celebration. And let us always remember that it is our choices, our passions, and our unwavering commitment that will guide us to a life filled with purpose and fulfillment. Congratulations, class of 2023. Today, we graduate, and tomorrow, we embark on a new journey, a journey that promises endless possibilities. Embrace it, own it, make it your own. This is your life. You have the power to shape it into something extraordinary. Thank you, and congratulations once again.
Thank you, Ananya. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Ruzak Dorodora, President of the Graduate Student Council of Case Western Reserve University.
I would like to first congratulate the 2023 graduating class on this momentous day. Because as much as this is a time that is meant to remember the hard work that got you here, this is a day of celebration for each and every Spartan moving forward. There's a Congolese proverb I'm going to share with you that I received from my parents that goes, "A single bracelet doesn't jingle." It took me a while to understand what that meant, but here's what I've learned in my time here at Case Western Reserve University. Every one of your paths and your experiences, your goals and your destinations is a bracelet. And your collection produces a unique symphony that will dazzle those lucky enough to hear even a measure. Because no matter how long it took you to get it, or the bittersweet joy of turning one in for another that fits you that much better, each bracelet belongs to you. And after today, each one of you will have a new one that tells the world that you graduated from CWRU. Bringing things back. We can't do this alone. Those bracelets you're wearing were forged together with your friends, with your family, and your loved ones, even when things didn't always work out. There were long nights, frustrations, and doubts that you would finish. But you did. You made it. And your trajectories beyond Case don't just resolve here with a happily ever after and credits as you walk across the stage. This is the beginning of an adventure to collect all the bracelets that you desire. That said, one thing we here at CWRU strive to embody is diversity. Exposure to others, their lived experiences, and cultural humility reveals new perspectives while helping us appreciate our own identities. Taking time to engage with peoples of different races, ethnicities, sexual and gender identities, sexual orientations, nationalities, religions, of differing opinions and thoughts, the list goes on. It all allows us to mature into and become our best selves. And there are awkward times and faux pas. There are offenses made and apologies given. But there's also growth and laughter and lifelong friendships forged into a growing repertoire of bracelets that brought us here today. Our time has prepared us for a world that is growing increasingly diverse and that much stronger for it. You were provided the opportunity to learn and to expand with people from across the US and from around the world. And I'd like to take a moment to appreciate all the graduates and their family, their friends, their partners, and their pets. Everyone that got them to this point, please give yourselves a round of applause. On behalf of the Graduate Student Council, I thank you for the chance to meet you. I thank you for the diversity you share that brightens the spaces you grace with your presence. I thank you for the bracelets I've been gifted interacting with all of you. And as their numbers increase, I can only hope for arms long enough to show them off to the world. I have a final message for the class of 2023. You made it. One chapter in the book of your life is written, and it was a page turner. You made it. Bracelet-laden arms, heavy with memories that are uniquely yours to display, because someone or someone's believed that you could, that you would, and that you now have succeeded. You are here as graduates, moving on to pursue your goals, and if you take one thing from your time here, I want you to know that as high as you soar and as bright as you shine, you will always have a home here at Case Western Reserve University. Thank you.
It's now my pleasure to introduce Srinivas Rao, President of the Alumni Association of Case Western Reserve University.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hello, I'm Srinivas Rao, President of the Alumni Association of Case Western Reserve Board of Directors. On behalf of the Alumni Association, it is my distinct honor to extend enthusiastic congratulations to all of our graduates and to welcome you, our newest members, as you join a proud and distinguished network of more than 115,000 alumni across the country and around the world. As you take the next step of your journey, you'll undoubtedly continue to build on the legacy of Case Western Reserve University alumni, one of excellence, innovation, service, and leadership. Our Alumni Association is full of people like you, people who are committed, exceptional, hardworking, and aware. Motivated by talented classmates from all walks of life, you did more than survive to tough winters and being stretched beyond your comfort zone by the best professors in their fields. You thrived in the most unprecedented and uncertain times in our history. We encourage you to stay connected to each other, to the university, to the faculty, staff, and students. Visit our website for updates on events and volunteer opportunities. A new career mentoring platform will be unveiled soon, and you'll have the opportunity to connect with fellow alumni that share your career field, your interests, and your location. And follow the Alumni Association on social media. We look forward to providing you many opportunities for you to show your pride, stay involved with the university, and interact with your fellow alumni. We want you to be actively engaged as alumni, just as you were during your time here as students. Importantly, our alumni give back. We honor those that paved the way for our successes and pass on our rich history on to future generations as we continue to build the future every day. No matter where your life and career may take you, the Alumni Association will be here for you. You're always welcome at our home away from home, the Linsalata Alumni Center. And I hope to see you in October for homecoming and whenever your travels lead to Cleveland. Again, my heartfelt congratulations. We wish you all the very best. Shine on. Thank you.
Thank you, Srinivas, Ananya, Ruzak. We're coming to the end of Convocation, but before we close out, we want to make sure that we've covered as many bases in your learning as possible. We know that you've had countless hours of classroom learning, research, and for many of you, real-world experience. So now, our phenomenal deans will share some parting words of advice.
Hello, my name is Raghu Balakrishnan, and I am the Dean of the K School of Engineering. And my advice to you all is to remember that the solution to most of life's problems isn't rocket science, except when the problem actually involves rocket science. And in those cases, you call an engineer.
My name is Joy Ward, and I am the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences. Although it may be easier to live in a bubble, in my experiences, some of the most interesting people and most impactful collaborations have occurred outside of them. My best advice is to live outside the bubble.
Good afternoon. I'm Stan Gerson, Dean of the School of Medicine of Case Western Reserve University. President Kaler and all present here today, I certify that the graduates who've met the requirements for the MD, MD, PhD, Masters of Anesthesia, Masters of Science, and PhD degrees from our school all excel in their abilities to heal the heart, instill compassion in the brain, teach wellness for all, and charge less.
I am Carol Musel, the Dean of the School of Nursing. As nurses, we are with you in sickness and in health till, oh, wait a minute. That's been used. But please, remember to take care of yourselves. That's a real lifesaver.
Hello, graduates. My name is Dexter Voisin, and I'm the Dean of the Jack Joseph and Morton Mandel School of Applied Social Sciences. My advice to you today is to take time for self-care, whether that's reading, writing, traveling, cooking, meditation, or anything else. And graduates, in all cases, remember to put on your oxygen mask first before you assist others.
I'm Andrew Medvedev. I'm J.B. Silvers. We're the interim co-deans of the Weatherhead School of Management. Remember that in business, much like in life, you can do a whole lot more with a whole lot less, with a little creativity and ingenuity. Once you've made it, don't forget to be generous and kind.
Hi, I'm Jessica Berg.
And I'm Michael Scharf, and we are the co-deans of the School of Law.
My advice to you is wear comfortable shoes. Your feet will thank you, and believe me, you set your own style.
And I recommend that you make lots of lists. They will keep you on task when you're overwhelmed or when you're closing an all-important deal.
And finally, I am Ken Chance, Dean of the School of Dental Medicine. If you take none of the advice my fellow deans have shared, be sure to take mine. Brush and floss every day, twice. It sure beats having a root canal.
So it turns out our deans are funny, too. Thank you for those words of wisdom, and Dean Chance in particular, thank you for that reminder. Graduates, we look forward to celebrating with you this week at the diploma ceremonies and other places. Congratulations, Godspeed.
Congratulations. Now please rise and join us in singing the alma mater. The words will be found on the screen. Our alma mater will be led by Case Western Reserve University's premier co-ed a cappella group, Case in Point.
Shine on forever, Case Western Reserve, loyal and true are we. Your brave sons and daughters, your knowledge we use to make our mark on history. Our school days will cherish forevermore, a lifetime of friends from the start. Shine on forever, Case Western Reserve. You'll be forever in our hearts.
Honored guests, this concludes our convocation ceremony for 2023. Remain standing at your seats until the academic procession exits the Veal Center, and all of you are welcome to join us for a reception at Freiberger Field. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the week's commencement activities.